fighting disease, but along the way, they have defined 7 causes of aging. And these are things that he thinks can be dealt with. Dr. DeGray, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So talk to us a little bit about your SENS product. You're engineering healthier humans, and I guess a byproduct of that could be life extension?
Absolutely. Byproduct is exactly the right word to use. We are just a biomedical research institute. We do the same kind of research that anyone else does who is trying to develop new medicine. We get a lot of people thinking that we are trying to work on longevity for the sake of longevity, irrespective of health. And that could not be further from the truth. So I'm delighted that you understand that what we do is simply medical research. But of course, our medical research is focused on the diseases and disabilities of old age. And we believe that we can indefinitely prevent those diseases with medicines that we think could be developed within the next couple of decades. So that means that people would stay truly youthful, both mentally and physically, as long as they live. Now, of course, that would have quite a big byproduct in terms of longevity, probably anyway, simply because the main thing people die of these days is being sick. And indeed, in the industrialized world anyway, the main thing that gets people to be sick is simply having been born a long time ago.
And so you have targeted some of these things that really cause the most aging in humans. Is there anything that you would suggest, for those of us who are like really holding out for the next 25 years, hoping to be the lucky recipient of some anti-aging technology? What can we do to really, what would you say is the most valuable thing that we could do?
You're not going to like my answer to this question. The problem is that at the moment, unless you do something really dumb, like, smoking a lot or getting seriously overweight, the kind of things that we all know we shouldn't be doing, there's not a lot you can do. I mean, some people, of course, are just unlucky genetically or whatever. They have some aspects of aging that are occurring unusually rapidly in their bodies. And for those people, there may be some things that can be done in terms of supplements and so on. But for most people, there really isn't. We can see this by looking across the world, what people do. If we look at, for example, the difference between America and Japan, people laugh at America a lot because it's so far down the league table of longevity, like in the 40s or something like that, even though you spend, far more than any other country per head on medical care. But the thing is that actually it's not so laughable because it's not such a big difference. The difference in longevity between Japan and America is only 4 years. So, that really tells you how little can be done, even if one has exactly the right genetics and the right diet and the right lifestyle and the right social structures and everything, still you don't get very much. So that's telling you what the answer to your question is not. So the question is, what is the answer? And the only answer really is, give me and SENS Research Foundation large amounts of money so that we can do this research a great deal faster. I honestly believe at this point that that is the only impediment that is slowing us down a lot. We've got the right plan. We've got the right scientists. What we don't have is the money. At the moment, it's pitiful. Our budget is only $5 million a year. If we'd added 1 zero to that, if we made it up to 50 million, then we could probably go 3 times faster. And that would save the most astronomical number of lives in the future.
And what do you think about the laser technology that's out there? There's a lot of new things on the market. I mean, maybe they've been around for a decade or so, but they're relatively new. Laser treatments seem to be giving the fountain of youth there.
Well, of course, we know that there's been steady progress in cosmetic treatments in general, whether it's skin creams, whether it's laser surgery, whether it's, Botox, whatever. These things have all progressed and will continue to progress. But the thing is that there's only so much you can do to preserve youth of how people look on the outside without actually having a pretty comprehensive ability to preserve youth on the inside.
Right.
people are still accumulating damage internally, then they're going to go downhill. And that's why people with plastic surgery and so on do not look very good.
Right.
So conversely, once we can fix everything that's on the inside, the outside's the easy part.
Well, what do you think about someone else who's really sort of seeking the answer to longevity and everything, Ray Kurzweil? He is basically saying the only way we're going to be able to achieve immortality is merging with machine or uploading our brains to the computer. I like your research because you're actually kind of going in to the human body, which I think is already this perfect machine, and you're sort of fixing us.
I think you're somewhat oversimplifying Ray Kurzweil's position on this. What he has said is that we need to have a progression of technologies that will postpone the ill health of old age in a kind of bootstrapping way. He and I are somewhat apart in terms of the early stage of this, about what people can do today. He would be a good deal more optimistic than I am with regard to the average person's ability to postpone the ill health of old age using supplements and vitamins and such like that we have today. But if we look into the more distant future, Ray and I are very aligned. Here's what he often called Bridge 2, the technologies that will come along in the foreseeable future, the next 20 years or so maybe, that will do a lot better than anything we can do today. Those technologies are pretty much identically SANS. They are pretty much exactly the regenerative medicine for aging that SANS Research Foundation pursues. And if we go to the final stage, here's Bridge 3, which is really the one you just mentioned about merging of man and machine and so on. Really, again, he and I are pretty aligned, because really what he's saying there is that as time goes on, and as we achieve greater and greater miniaturization, especially, of various devices, we will have a greater and greater ability to apply, let's call it just simply non-biological solutions to various medical problems, including the problems of aging. And those non-biological solutions will eventually take over, really. They will become dominant as what we do medically. And that may even end up with essentially rebuilding our brains in one way or another so that they are more resilient. So yeah, there's not really nearly so much difference between what Ray thinks and what I think as it seems at first sight.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't think that I personally would be, interesting or something enough to where they would want to preserve my brain forever. But someone like, Ray Kurzweil or, Steve Jobs or someone like that, Nikola Tesla, it's kind of sad when those people, if they pass away and all of that knowledge goes with them. So that's my one thing I can kind of understand.
I object to your suggestion that you're not interesting enough. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, this is for everybody, this technology. This is very important to understand. All lives matter. All lives should be of high quality as well as high quantity. And there's no reason whatsoever to stipulate that only smart people or only creative people should benefit from all of this. Remember, this is not about preserving brains just only. It's preserving life in general. And that's something that most people believe in for everybody.
Thank you for tuning in.